Hello and welcome back, folks, to our second best of three of the day. It's Espada versus EXTREMUM. One more spot up for grabs, of course, in our European closed qualifier. We've already Team Espada get themselves through into LOOT.BET Season 5. Who will be our final team representing the region in the event? Well, now it's time we find out. Of course, this is our lower bracket matchup, so not a direct qualification game. However, winning will put a team through. So the best of three they need to qualify that second chance, that lower bracket finals. For one, though, their journey will end here. It is an elimination game after all. Their chances, well, they're on thin ice. Yumi, of course, here for all the action. Dust 2 is where we're going to start. Our first battlefield, of course, a classic map of Counter-Strike. What do you expect to happen here?
Well, I mean, considering it, I look at both these teams and I see obviously names that you recognize. You have Balbina, Waterfalls, Jimka, all kind of coming from that QBF or Quantum Bellator Fire lineup at one point or another. Then you've got Dima on the other side of things, hailing from Vega at one point. These do just seem kind of like mixed teams that have come together to compete, and I mean, this is the best kind of a battleground for a mixed team, right? It's very surface level. It's all more about map control and just showing presence as opposed to too many sort of over-divulged tactics or oversaturated uses of utility. It's all standard procedures for a Dust, and everybody should have those same sort of smokes for the catwalk and long control in their arsenal, but I think this is very much a coin flip, even with this being picked by one of the respecting teams, that one being Espada. They'll put them in a huge advantage, but I mean, coming into this pistol, already finding a lot of opening frags that will go somewhat traded from EXTREMUM.
Trades are what are important here as they do try and make their advance up through short. Railway is there to try and pull the brakes on this one as he taps them down bit by bit. There's one, makes it for a second as well. Well, time to spare. The round concludes. We are going to be rolling into a 1-0 start. Espada on their CT side, starting strong.
Yeah, no, Espada's the team that out of the two, I'd probably say have less of this kind of namestay power to them. Only having the one player that I recognize, of course, I could just be ignorant to the facts, but it's still a situation that you don't have as many players that have reached the kind of upper echelons of Counter-Strike, whether people feel like that was deserved or not, or it was just a miracle run. And oh, that nade is juicy to start things off. EXTREMUM are already wounded, weakened, and Railway will put them into an early set of graves. But I mean, it's not like it doesn't bear some fruit for the EXTREMUM. I mean, that's a little bit of damage done to the CT side economy. Those rifles dropped as well will make things a little bit more strenuous for them.
It does mean that as they go into round 3 here, Espada are going to have a little bit of a patchwork buy of still just the one SMG in play. The blessing in disguise is losing 2 means that they have to rebuy some rifles, so it is only just that one SMG. We'll have to keep a very close eye on Glane to see what he can get up to here. Of course, over on the T side, now they get to go into this with actually something worth fighting with. It's the full AK buy. Only one Krieg in play, which I guess is an interesting thing to note, given current meta. You've seen some teams opting for just only Kriegs. The AK is a relevant gun in their eyes. It's very curious to see sort of how that pans out.
Especially on a map that's so aim side heavy. Krieg definitely has its advantages for these mid to long range fights. Still, short control will be gained from EXTREMUM. They've used their utility to great effectiveness. You can see Espada maintaining control of that long house. Make sure they don't get easily split towards the A site. EXTREMUM yet to make any real decisions here. They've ticked a few of the boxes. Bit of mid pressure is where they will set themselves up next, and Espada don't have anybody in position to really identify this early enough.
Good smokes, flashes to follow as well, means they can freely cross. Damage is done though. What a great flashbang coming in from the CTs over the wall from the B site, leaves them completely blind. Espada just dropping them dead. Jimka gotta try and fight back, but that's a quick trade to find, leaving just waterfalls flowing out onto the B site, but I think Espada are aware that there's been a leak here, and now they're just going to play very defensive. Most importantly, because they have the bomb. That peak's a little questionable, but the swing comes in from Finnegan anyway. He'll force this one over the line. It'll be 3-0 for Espada.
Yeah, that counter utility from the CT side was perfectly placed. It allowed Finnegan as well as Demon to get those frags, and as commendable an effort that may be from Waterfalls, just the trades were there in numbers from Espada. Every time Extremum answered back with a frag of their own, there was always a player in position to answer right back. So it's again pistols. The first hurdle overcome by the CT side in the first gun round, and oh, the tag damage just as he's about to fall away. It slows him down just enough for the Flames to submit him to an early grave. What's off the shoulder of Dexter?
Oh, gets away with it, actually. Nicely done.
It's actually dangerous now because Airscape has an ult to play with now into the mid-round. These fights towards long haven't gone well for Espada, and actually they lose all their defenders towards the A side of things.
Have no smoke, though, so they have nothing for cross. So it has to just be this kind of gung-ho play.
That's a long throw.
It's like, throw the bomb over. If they can kill the player on site, I actually think this is not that bad for Espada. We just have to see sort of how that pans out. Dima, there you have it, finds Airscape. Now they just have to clear off long, take the range duels. These players with no Kevlar, bear in mind, apart from Jimka, should be relatively easy for them to pepper them down. But Dima's just dropped to 11 HP with Waterfalls coming in through short. Presents a risk, but it's not going to happen. They will clean up house. It gets risky, but problem solved. I'd say what this brings us back to, though. We talked about this a little bit more, I think, in the first map today that we casted. Why buying 5 Deagles with no Kevlar just on your pistol bios is so common nowadays. It's always become the meta. That's exactly why. You can really create yourself some quirky positioning, or situations, should I say, if those Deagle shots do actually connect. You know, 3 players win their duels with a Deagle, you're looking at instant kills, 3 players out of the picture and at a 5-on-2. Yes, that's a very exaggerated view, but it just shows the power of Deagles. With a long rush there, they were the perfect weapon.
Huge swinging potential with those weapons when you find the frags, absolutely. Especially when you're able to recover the fallen weapons as a result of it. Means it only has to accomplish that first kill, and suddenly you have so much more to operate with. And, of course, talk about the order of operations. And, of course, do exclamation mark 11 in the chat, just to see if you can find a way to win one of these iPhones that is being given away. Some cool tech that can be picked up as a result of our sponsor LOOT.BET.
There's a whole host of other crazy electronics up for grabs. It is, of course, available on the LOOT.BET ladder. $18,000 is the lion's share of the prize money. Go to first place in the Season 5 of LOOT.BET. Nice to see LOOT.BET continuing their involvement. It's a real great opportunity, I think, for teams of this caliber to earn some decent dosh while playing their hearts out on stream for all of you guys at home.
Don't we move away from the tech? Instead, it's aggression through B for Espada. Dima's got in a forward position. He catches the first one out, but that now shows a lot of the hand here from the CT side. Finnegan, can he find the timing? They're moving further and further forward, and Waterfalls, he holds for it. They know Dima's located in towards the upper tunnels as well, so that flash is very aptly thrown over. Although that's another avenue that they can use to retake into this bomb site. Espada are certainly on the back foot here.
Oh, that, boys. You're giving him the swing. That's so unfortunate, but just a poor decision to swing when he takes that contact there. Comes an easy lineup. Waterfall's now trying to hold on. Oh, what a shot from him. Playing to the fact that his teammate got the tag means that the shot in the leg pays off there. If that damage wasn't done by his teammate, that is a round loss almost guaranteed, but hits the shot in the leg just enough to push him over the line. That's the swing I'm referring to. For his teammate to wide swing like that out into the crossfire is just such a dangerous decision to make. But it leads us here, 1 on the board for Extremum, and Espada, they want none of it. They've immediately decided to go for this force-up. A couple of SMGs, but mostly Deagles in play.
Yeah, not the strongest of buys for the CT side. Teammate is up close with the Deagle. As a player as well, further back to act as that initial bit of scouting information for him. We'll have a bit of a warning before he's approached by too many opposing players. EXTREMUM look to kind of set up just a burst play towards the B side. There are 3 players in position here for Espada, and 1 more player on that rotation may actually be enough. That might catch them off guard.
But the Eagles begin to let rip. Good damage done, but no one there really to claim in on that chip damage, and that's the problem. You can be doing all of these, 30 HP here, 40 HP there, but if no one's there to finish them off, it's effectively worthless.
Well, Higelaine is in the back lines with the MP9, so at the very least he can maybe get a couple of exits, maybe able to upgrade his weapon as well. Convert on some of the damage and tags found in the early round. That is, of course, if they exit in his position, and it doesn't seem like they're going to give him the satisfaction.
Yeah, just being nice and smart there, exiting together. For EXTREMUM, it's really important now that they build up their money and really start to sort of just hold it together. So exiting together is a great way to ensure that no one drops off there, that they carry that all through into round 7. Likewise with the rifles as well. And you can see the effects of that now. After the buy will come through, I would expect to see Waterfalls maybe at most down to 5k. And for a lot of his teammates, they're going to be sitting to 3 to 4 as well. So
yeah,
really financially strong.
Actually, at the tail end there, Higelaine made his way into the site, picked up the 1 fallen weapon, that is the AK. So it's a nice little upgrade, even if he didn't get those trades and finish off on that damage.
Definitely helps. Unfortunately, his teammates, though, not going to be with him. Maybe you can drop something from Dexter, get him down to 2k, but you don't really want to be getting under that $2,000 mark for any of these CT players. This 7th round really will be an eco intertwined with a little bit of damage here and there, perhaps from that open 1 rifle. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to contend with everyone right now if they want to hold on to this. No short presence at all. It's going to be all about what they can do towards long. Really hoping Finnegan can do something with the AWP as well. That would definitely be something we need to see in this round if Espada are going to have a say in this. Folks do line up. The Eagle's getting itself ready. He begins to spray through, finds absolutely nothing, unfortunately, as the site push comes underway. The duel towards long, sways towards Balbina, and really that's the story of the whole round. 3 quick frags for the T side, only Railway remains, and well, you can see on your screen, this man is sprinting away, desperately trying to hold on to this AWP for round number 8.
Yeah, and you can see EXTREMUM are hunting for him. That's why he was running with his tail between his legs. Now he'll have to fight his way out with this AWP. As they begin to eliminate some of the common saving positions, they will begin to realize that it is likely to be site. Able to dodge the flash, the leg shot comes through, Clack surviving on 1 HP. And it's met by the headshot by Balbina. So
LOOT.BET, made for live betting.
As you were saying, Yumi.
Yeah, that catches me out every single time. But of course, a huge shout out to our sponsors over at LOOT.BET. Wouldn't be able to do this without them. Even if they catch us by surprise, that's exactly what Espada will try and do in this round. Dima pushing through towards B. Hope that he could get some advanced position for them to maybe cheat a rotation towards A, but meets a swift headshot from Klax instead.
It's a really ballsy push, though. Straight through tunnels. Takes aggression to a new level.
I think this is one of the reasons I'm not the biggest fan of Dust 2 as a map. It feels like your options on the CT side to get aggressive are somewhat limited. It is a huge risk to take, especially when you're struggling to get your economy rolling. Taking those risks, sure, they can win you the round sometimes, but it doesn't feel quite as compartmentalized, or you can't have sort of strategies that reside around getting those advanced positions. You can't throw good sort of over-the-map smokes or set up with nice flashbangs. Instead, it's very dependent on the opponents not being there. And it's aggression off of short that actually bears some fruit here for Espada. Instead, Dexter, a nice couple set of frags there with the AWP. That's 3 in rapid succession for Espada, and so now just Balbina and Jumka to pull things back. Now just the latter, as there's 4 players in his path. First found on Finnegan, but the trade available for Railway. It's not quite as far pushed from the CT side, but they are able to reap the benefits of that presence on short.
Dexter with the double kill is just so critical there. If he lets them get through, the site gets overwhelmed, and it's almost a lost round there and then. But the fact he's able to solidify those 2 kills just opens things up for the rest of his team, and obviously holding the cross doors long works wonders as well. I see what's interesting about that long cross hold. I noticed that we've got an M4A1S in play. That feels like it's a rare occasion now in Counter-Strike in the current meta. I haven't seen one of those in what feels like 20 years.
The lost older brother of the M4A4 found his way back home.
It has its uses, though. I mean, it's good for holding those angles, to be fair.
As well, there's no tracers when you're spamming through a smoke, which is becoming more and more common as well.
I feel like if that's the reason you're using the M4A1S, you've got to start reevaluating your decisions to spray through those smokes. That should be a quick trade. There we go. Finnegan catching off Airscape as he tries to retreat. That opens up a lovely 2-for-1 here for Espada. Bomb, though, super far back through a long. That's not really ideal. It's going to drag them quite heavily towards his A side of the map, which, frankly, I think is not where they want to be.
And this is a bit of a gamble position from Higuain. Very one and done, but he could catch them off guard. He'll heal the scope, so he'll have a prompt, and that goes by unchecked. It's a rapid trade in response, but Dexter's still here with the AWP and just narrowly missing out and spotting the bomb. It's again another leg shot on the AWP for Espada, but Dexter, Molotov out into the open. He's dealt with. Finnegan makes up for all of the damage done, and Espada find themselves another round here on the CT side.
I think what Dust 2 is so even that there isn't really a bias towards CT or T. I'd argue maybe there's a little bit more towards T nowadays because of the land of the Krieg, more than anything else. But generally speaking, 8-7 is kind of what you expect in a really close Dust 2 game. So it's interesting that Spada were able to build ahead on their CT side. I'm very curious to see what they will do on their T side as well, because you can clearly see there are some aggressive tendencies on these players, and that they're very eager just to make these pushes happen, be quite ballsy. So I'm just curious to see what people like Dexter and Finnegan can do when they are unleashed on that T side, and they can go and be a playmaker that entries on towards the A side, for example.
Nades will sail in towards short. Higuain has gone through the checklist of different positions over at long, and this one hasn't gone by without bearing some fruit for him. A couple of kills on the MP9. It's traded back, and again, it's the same position from Dexter. That seems to be the setup for Espada. Up close is Higuain. Dexter compensates if he does lose out on those duels, but they lose a bit of presence in towards the bomb site. Issue is, Extremum, they have no ideal pathway to get this bomb that has been dropped over it long.
Every time they get a frag, though, it makes their life a little easier. Lovely little slam dunk from D.Va. Kind of retracts that message somewhat. It means it's just Airscape flying solo now. How the hell does he crack into long when he's alone? It was different when he was, in this 2v2. They could maybe fight the A site together, look for that player who's potentially up on site. But now that he gets in a 1-on-2, you can see immediately what Espada did. The A player sprinted down towards long, and they held his crossfire.
Yeah, and you can just see he's not anticipating D.Va's position whatsoever. Thought he'd be a little bit deeper, allow him the opportunity to fall back as a CT side, but they doubled up and just hoped that they could lock that bomb out of position. So another spot in which Extremum aren't going to be able to afford up the strongest of buys. We saw them get quite close with the Deagles before, so they do invest in that hand cannon. A fair few number of players, and this time they have a bit more utility to operate with as well. A lot of damage found. Dima's been dropped. Finnegan has them lined up on the Krieg, but there's far too many targets. Can't quite convert the spray.
He couldn't quite pick a target, could he? He was getting them all so low, but he just couldn't quite decide which one to kill first. And that's what's going to come back to haunt him there, unfortunately. I mean, Balbina is 12 HP, the poor guy. Well, they're going to go through anyway. The push has come through. A little bit of team damage supports the frag on towards Balbina, as it is just Airscape now. One man against two. The Eagle not going to be enough. He'll be taken on down. Espada up to 9. This Dust 2 matchup is looking quick and easy.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be far more back and forth, especially when we do factor in elements like starting on the T side, where I have to agree with you that it does narrowly favor that portion, just because of the way in which you're able to deal with the economy, and even, yeah, the Krieg factor is certainly something that cannot be understated as well. But it is...
Yeah, Skip's had a moment.
Yeah, we're trapped in time. So we had the issue with the time loop, just on the last few maps of the previous best of 3. We saw the 11-4 scoreline doubled down a couple times. This is a bit of a different time lock. Interesting.
What's really interesting is I believe our producer has just gone on a break. So the timing of this could not be.
Like, no, don't eat your sandwich. Don't have your food.
Buddy, no sandwiches for you, man. You got to be committed to the Counter-Strike, committed to the art. This is a beautiful slideshow, though. I mean, what could possibly be happening on the screen right now?
Well, okay. Let's run it through the numbers, okay? We've got we'll try and project like Sherlock Holmes. We've got a few bits, we've got a few clues.
The worst part is the time is ticking down in real time, but the movement is not in real time. Therefore, players are getting screwed. There's no way they can plant the bomb. This is going to be an Espada round, boys. All jokes aside, if it's not clear, folks, there is a problem here, and we will be jumping back to our break screen while this is resolved. We'll be rolling back, I'm sure, to the start of that round, so have no fear. Be back into the action soon enough after a very short break while we get things resolved. Hello and welcome back, folks. Apologies for the short technical diversion that we had to take there, but we've got back on track at 8-3 here in this matchup. Everything is restored. Espada decided to take the blue pill, and now we're going to see what they're made of on their CT side as they do try to close this one out with quite a healthy lead too.
Yeah, I don't think we've actually... I can't remember what the scoreline was when we left, but I don't think we've missed... We might have missed one round, I think. That is, like, at a maximum what we've...
I think it was 7-3. Yeah, it's been so long.
It has been so long. Either way, we find ourselves back into the action, up in the hands of Dexter, as he has been wielding that for the majority of this game. And again, it's this aggression off of short. The 1-2 duo, the one that's been so notorious at long, and they find the opening pick there on Dexter. Even the follow-up frag from the AWP. The utility is well deployed to allow them to escape, and they'll happily take that and fall back towards the site.
I mean, Dexter's just... Oh, like, someone stop this guy. He's basically... Not literally, but figuratively, it feels like he's hopping around the map and shooting everyone. Because he is just hitting every kind of shot on short right now, taking full control. And there seems to be nothing EXTREMUM can do to respond. They just keep taking the jewel. I think Jimka and Balbino have finally sort of got the memo that actually peeking short isn't a good idea. But then where do you go from there? You've got 45 seconds on the clock. You're going to push into a B site with 2 players stacked on it, ready to go. It's a tough site for you to attack, especially with one of your players having an AWP as well. Does not suit that sort of play. But they have some utility, so maybe a well-timed pop flash can get them in.
Yeah, they're certainly hoping on a prayer, but I mean, the Molotov sails through, they see nothing in response, and Railway's on a collision course with them. They look to back away and save these weapons into the following round, and they may be denied in doing so. Oh, the jump spot. Jimka, he's toying with him. Up and down he'll go, bile rung as well, but he's able to eliminate the threat at the very least. I don't think they'll push much further than that. It's not easy avenues for Espada to track down these last couple of frags, and so we should see the AWP and the rifle brought forward. But I mean, this play from Dexter, just rapid kills there with the AWP. That's really what shuts out the round.
It's definitely what you want to see in these scenarios, though. Just quick kills and just fast succession. Really gives them very limited outs on towards short. If they did manage to even sneak one player through, I would imagine that would be just a quick trade even. Still doesn't really save much here. Rocking the 1.5 KD, living his best life right now, it seems. 9-3, not too shocked to see something that strong. I do wonder, that ADR stat doesn't quite look correct. I think his average damage around is a little bit more than 0, given that 1.5 KD. But that said, let's look more towards the EXTREMUM side here. What can they do for themselves? It will be a full bite with a couple of holes. Klax is probably going to be that main problem for them, just because he's got 3450. So I'll expect an SMG. Oh, I would say maybe a Galil, but I'm expecting a full SMG here, just because very, very limited weaponry. And then what's the utility of that, I assume? But let's see what he chooses to do. I don't think I'll see that Galil, but ready to be proved wrong.
I think if you just kind of look at the pacing and where they've been taking control primarily in this game so far, I wouldn't be too surprised to see EXTREMUM maybe change things up and just try and barrel down middle. It's something that sees relative amount of success in the upper levels as well, especially when they know that an AWP can be present. That's not a fight that the CTs often take, and so it can leave a bit of a gap in the information gathering for them, at least in the first sort of 10 to 15 seconds of the round. It's not something that they will explore, however. You see them congregating towards long instead. The flashes will rain on over. Jimka trying to close that distance, and Railway has been able to escape, but the pit has been compromised. EXTREMUM have full control of this long area.
Waiting in peril, EXTREMUM. So many choices here. I mean, they can commit, they can back off, they can look for a pick and then try and walk away. There's so many different ways they can approach this round. Seems like the decision has been made, though. They'll leave 2 players there with a little bit of hunting. Most particularly will be Waterfalls. He's got that orb, so he just wants to see if he can carve out some sort of shot on towards the big box on A. Rest of his team, meanwhile, though, they'll be a little bit more flexible. They'll be back towards mid, likely going to start repositioning towards the B side as well, just looking for any opportunity that may arise. CTs have to be careful not to over-rotate here, given they have no information, but it seems like we've got Dexter and Dima on the back of B site anyway. If a push does come their way, they're fairly well prepared. They do have McLean and Railway on not too far of a rotation as well from CT and Short, respectively.
I almost feel like they think they're mitigating the AWP by moving towards the B side of things, but
that
Dexter's
nade.
repositioned and the nade sails through. Just so much damage found. Information that's not quite available for the CTs to operate off of, but Higlane's found the first. Dexter comes in with the second. They line up beautifully for Dima to sweep everybody else up. That is a fantastic hold from Espada. Everybody on the side of Extremum just falls like flies. That missed shot from Waterfalls as well.
Yeah, you don't want to be Waterfalls in that scenario. That's going to be when you're kicking yourself over. Really wants to get that kill so then he can try and get through mid and support his team. Fortunately, shot doesn't connect and he's dead to rights from there. You have to look at it, though, from a bit of a positive perspective. Even if he finds that frag, his team still were annihilated on B, so he would have been in a 1vx that likely would have been unobtainable as well. So not a kill, I think, to sweat too much, but still unfortunate nonetheless. Extremum this time all bundled up in towards lower tunnels, straight through mid doors. Looking to see maybe if they can plunder themselves the B site. Once again, they clearly see some treasure, but if they can get there, it'll be a whole different question completely.
And that's that early aggression towards mid I thought would have come through in the earlier round. Of course, with the SMGs, it makes more sense to try and get up close and personal to these Espada defenders who are making use of these scoped weapons rather proficiently. See, Dexter's now becoming a mainstay on the B-bomb site as well, so the AWP's not going to be in play here as Extreme look to execute on the A site.
Couple of great flashes, open up some kills, but trades do come through. Finnegan is going to be there to find one and then retreat back through the smoke. Decision now has to be made from Espada, though. You have no players really in a quick position to actually get up on towards short or deep in through CT or long, which basically means you're retaking short, then retaking the site. Not much time to get that done, but they are going to go for it. Flash will be thrown, double peek comes in, and Extremum just completely crushing them here. Nade might be valuable, but it's not really going to do much more.
The smoke allows him for the frag. Dima there for the trade. But still a 1v2. Airscape is close. Dima deals with him quite handily as well. Not quite enough time to get himself on the defuse. Too far ticked, too far gone. And Klax will be able to get out of there as well. So it's a 1 round from Extremum after what has been quite a bombardment of CT side rounds. Might just be able to round out this half with a 5th as well. My money is certainly available for the CT side to reinvest, so they shouldn't have any issues in that regard, but the fact that it comes down to just the one player surviving for Extremum, they have to make a couple of budget cuts. Not quite as much utility on Jimka as you would like, but everybody else with a decent amount of utility outside of Airscape.
Once more looking straight through mid doors again as well, it seems. Both mid smokes out, just not wanting to take any risks here. Bit of a struggle from Klax there as they do look to try and punish those towards B. Dima Dexter picks a plenty. Finnegan really is the player you want to be watching here. How hard can he hold on to the B side? I mean, he's in such a precarious position. You're trying to hold on towards window, trying to make sure they don't swing him towards backside. So, buddy, Finnegan. What a play. Dances towards the back of the site, finds both players as they line up, and then finds the third for the cherry on top as he comes swinging wide through tunnels. Beautiful play. Finnegan rounds us out 11-4 in our first half.
Yep, all eyes were on him in that moment. He's the only player that could prevent them from getting to the bomb site, and he does so wonderfully. As each and every duel being won, you can see it again here on our little replay, and yeah, those first 2 kills. That's really what sealed the deal. That long-range fight from tunnels isn't one that he would have been anticipating he had to deal with. And he finds it nonetheless. What a performance from Espada. I mean, only conceding really 3 rounds in a row and then one towards the end of the half. really dominant stuff on the CT side in a map that we would typically put it maybe an 8-7, maybe 9-6 at a stretch. They'll have a significant buffer moving into their T side.
Just really hoping that they can repeat this in the second half. If today's anything to go by, we see a first half success and then a second half crumble. So hopefully a different story here for Espada, but again, it's a matter of just time will tell.
This is actually the third time we've seen an 11-4 half, funnily enough.
Getting really used to that now.
Yeah. Getting a bit tired.
Just want to see a team win the pistol here now and go 12-4, because we haven't seen that at all yet. It's always been the team something coming back in some way, shape, or form. Don't get me wrong, I love me a comeback, but it would be nice to see a real strong start in the second half, continuing of the success that Sparta had in the first half as well. They go for quite a creative play for Dust 2 as well. 2 players on the utility, just the 3 with the body armor.
And they spread themselves out across the map as well. Railway is there with the utility over at long. They're looking to go for a run boost, it looked like.
Feels like a fake. Yeah, this is definitely a fake. They're trying to see if they can use some utility maybe towards long. Bait in those players back towards short. So they're maybe on a bit of a slow rotate. They're making the push actually happen, to be fair. They might even actually get themselves on towards sight here. Yeah, they pulled in all the rotations. Yeah. The B player has left sight. And now he'll be window as they make the push. So the fake has worked, all things considered. It'll be, I mean, not quite a 5-on-5 retake, but definitely it'll be quite interesting to see how this pans out now. Because they've actually got both sites. They actually own A and own B right now.
It seems to be massively crafted for the late round, but the issue now becomes that these players that were running distraction cannot reinforce the bomb site. In fact, they've lost both of the players that were looking to play the post plant. Finnegan left in towards CT, cowering. He realizes just how lost this round is. The bomb is being defused as we speak. It will come through, and Finnegan looks to try and stay alive, and he will be even denied that. So, I mean, the strategy seemed to work. They certainly had Extremum darting back and forth between the 2 sites, but it really comes down to that post plant. The retake from the CTs was just far too strong and rapid.
I think the thing is when you do that, you realize you're going to have a lot less firepower on the actual bomb site because you've got it spread across the map effectively. I think they had a player in mid, still 2 players kind of pushing up through long and such, and 1 player in fact was holding the A site, which was really weird because the bomb's ticking on B, and you got a teammate standing on A. I imagine that's because he's trying to take some jewels into CT and biding his time. But still, it's a very awkward round, you know, in terms of how it played out in the end. I like the strategy, I like the attempts, but I think the execution maybe, you know, perhaps bring one of those A players towards B with you. Just do a single play with a single player towards A long. Or perhaps commit the utility and then back away. It's kind of hard to know how they're going to sell the fake there, I suppose. Yeah. But nonetheless, we'll have to see what this Waterfall can do now towards the A site as a flash comes raining over. Waterfalls is going to swing on out. He'll be immediately deleted for the power of the Krieg as Airscape will be there to trade it right back. But the Deagle of Dima, hello buddy, we talked about the Deagles. It delivers once more. Does get a little too over-aggressive though. Tries to punish the 3rd player in mid. That will mean he'll be put to death. However, Espada are in a great position still. They got Finnegan holding down the fort on shorts. He'll just trade his teammate. Dexter will finish off for the 3rd kill. Job's a good one.
It's the notorious 2nd round buy from the T side that pulls through for Espada. That double kill from Dima is really the nail in the coffin in that round. It just made things so much more difficult for them to get into position for the retake. And so, I mean, it's a 1 pistol round, you know, you get that small glimmer of hope, and then you come crashing back down to reality. It's a tough position for Extremum now on the CT side because they feel like they have to force buy into it to try and take it right from under the tail of Espada right back, but the superior weaponry is going to be hard to deal with, but hold the phone. Balbina, again, another great Deagle play to find a couple of kills right back. It's still equal numbers, even with the superior rifles.
Pretty deadly play coming in there. Shows again the strength of the Deagles, but unfortunately with Finnegan holding, no one's going to have any idea that he's there. That means that as they peek, they're trying to pick him apart. Clarks flicks right back around. Lovely shot to the back of the head, but still, it's these pistols left in Just a rough position here. Waterfalls finds one. They're going to line up now. Positions no. He'll just stay in scopes, and at least Dexter can clean up. But it did get close. It came down to a 1v2 in the end. So you can't discredit the play there from Extremum. They put a valiant effort in, but unfortunately, that effort did not net a result they intended this time around. It will likely be 14-5 here. A full eco now on the cards for our CT side if they wish for a full buy in round 20. That means just 2 rounds Espada are away from taking map number 1. In comparison for Extremum, they need 11 back-to-back.
Good tag damage on Sorowad's Railway. Over at that longhouse. Let's drop down to 60 HP. Does take control, however, in these long-range fights are exactly what the Krieg is an expert in. Of course, just with these USPs, it's all just about doing damage, and the nade comes sailing on through. That's the first pick over towards B, and they're not quite done yet. Dexter seems to have lined them up on the cross. The rotation play is fantastic to cut them off, but Klax is trying to be a little bit sneaky. Okay, yeah, they realized. Like, there should definitely be someone here. Where could he be hiding? I mean, probably not really too many avenues into this round. Does get one. The trade is trying to be lined up by Finnegan, and there's just too many players in close proximity. It ultimately dealt with rather easily from Espada. They picked them apart one by one. Or in Dexter's case, I guess, 1 by 2. And this is where it has to bounce back. This is where it has to be several rounds in a row. If they want to win in regulation, it, like you said, has to be 11. A flawless CT performance from Extremum that they may not really be able to get the grasp on this economy, but I mean, on the cross, Jimka gets legged. That's already a poor start for them.
Railway now going to start to look for his opportunities towards short, but needs a real pop flash from his teammate, which does come through. So far, so good. Picks them down one by one. Oh boy. The land of the Krieg. May it rain long and heavy. Jimka, Balbida, nearly 2 that remain. 15-5. I mean, how the hell do you bring that back?
I, for one, welcome our new Krieg overlords. That is a ridiculous set of kills to get. The flash was perfect. Placement perfect as well. And it had to be 11 in a row. But now they have to set their sights on just making it to overtime. Otherwise, we're looking at our secondary map instead. We believe that would be Mirage as the next up in the series. But to be fair, this isn't Extremum's pick. You would still anticipate that they put up a fair showing. Don't think they're really going to be able to get away with these weapons either. Nope, Jimko's gone. Balbina is able to do damage, and it takes quite a lot in return. Back to you. Meets the same fate. So now for the overtime. 10 in a row. A really, really scrapped together buy for them. Scouts are out, the SMGs as well. They just hope that they can pull some sort of a miracle out of the bag to remain alive here on map number 1 as Espada have been dominant so far. TT side, T side, it doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah, pretty much just roll through them. No ifs or buts about it. They have just absolutely plowed through their opposition. Every shot's connected. We've seen a masterclass here. Airscape is currently blocking them from running out through long. They do eventually realize, and they'll shoot them in the back of the head, which I suppose is fair enough when someone's blocking your path. All long control be given up, and from there, they're just going to make their advances. This is a aggressive, this is a no care in the world of Espada to use the much more safe for work version. Jimka and Waterfalls now the only 2 players standing. They're both in mid. They'll make their peak. At least they're going to get something done, but, well, you're in a 4-on-2. The bomb's going to be down there any second now. Scratch that. It's a 4-on-1. This game is done. 16-5. There's no way about it. Waterfalls would have to pull off some heroics to clutch this one out with a scout as well. I mean, just madness.
It's not without options. Could have recovered the UMP as well, but I don't think that really increases his chances of pulling this one off. He falls forward.
I think it's done.
Yeah, Dima's there. I mean, he's a sitting duck. That's a strong performance from Espada here on our first map. We now move on to Mirage as the secondary. That is Extremum's pick. We just hope that it's a much closer affair as we look to see who comes out of the lower bracket finals to face off against the losers of our earlier game in today. So we will throw ourselves to a break as we prepare ourselves for our secondary map, guys. Don't go anywhere.